and welcome to the Player YouTube channel, where, amongst other things, we do car reviews. But we don't do car reviews in the conventional way. So I'm not going to talk about scratchy plastics. I'm not going to talk about fake vents and sticks of truth. They're not going to come into it. And I'm definitely not going to let you know how many bottles I can get in my door bins. What I am going to do is tell it to you straight, and hopefully then you can make an evaluation if you want to go down and get yourself a test drive of the car we're actually reviewing. Now, the car we're reviewing today is one of my favourites, actually. It's the Jaguar I-Pace. It's been around for a few years now, and it was desperately in need of a bit of a makeover, and that's what this new one has got. So this is the EV400. It's an I-Pace, and it's all electric, if you didn't already know. So it's very, very quiet. That's what I do love about these cars. This makeover has had a number of bits and pieces added to it. So you've now got an enhanced charging system, so that it will charge much quicker. You've got a 3D surround camera system mounted on the roof there, which is absolutely fantastic. You can have a digital rear view mirror, and at the same time, you've got this brand new infotainment system. So it's all starting to really come together now. It's had a few years, and I think they've really updated it well. And speaking of updates, this car now has over-the-air updates for all the systems. So basically, Jaguar can send out a signal to all the cars, and they can update their software systems, which is utterly, utterly brilliant. So you never really need to go in for an electronic update in the garage, unless, you know, it's a full service, of course. What we need to do is get this car back to Player HQ. We need to get around it, we need to get in it, and we need to have a look in the back, and then we need to get out on the road and give it a road test and give you our final evaluation of the updated, made over Jaguar I-Pace. One thing's for sure, when you're driving an I-Pace, you're definitely not going to upset the wildlife anywhere, because it's so quiet, especially when it arrives. What do you think, guys? I think it's a really nice looking car. It's kind of SUV crossed with a coupe. It's more like a scoop, if you like. In actual fact, this car has won more awards than Will Smith. It's caning it out there. It's design awards, car of the year awards, all things like that. And, you know, credit where it's due, it is a very, very good car. Now, there's only one model available. It's called the EV400. I'm sure in the future that'll be updated with other models, but at the moment it's only the EV400. There are 4 different trim levels available. You've got the S, the SE, you've got the black, which a lot of reviewers have left out, and there is an HSE as well, which is your top of the range. The S, which is the one we're driving today, dictated and noted over here, by the way, just to show you, a little tiny S down there. This starts at £65,000. And for that, you get a decent amount of kit. You get like the LED headlights here, you get a choice of paintwork. However, there are a number of extras. Let's take a look at those and see how you can end up speccing up your car from 65 to 85,000. There are 13 different colour choices for your paintwork with your Jaguar I-Pace. Prices for metallics start at £355 up to a whopping £1,600. It's almost like you're going to need a second mortgage for your paint colour. For example, this Barasco grey that we've got here will set you back £735 extra. There are a couple of rim choices available, but that will depend on what trim level you go for. These are 19s, for example. They're on the entry level. You can get 20s as well. But if you want to pay a little bit extra for a set of 22-inch wheels, which, yes, they do go on here, would you believe? But you will be paying an extra £1,700 to, wait for it, £3,700 for the full set. So when it comes to styling individually your I-Pace, in other words, putting your mark on it, there are a number of different exterior styling packs available. First up, you've got the black pack, which you can see here, which is all bits of black everywhere, obviously. That will cost you an extra £450. If you like chrome, that's called the bright pack. And again, that's an extra 450 quid. And basically it's this, but chrome. Door mirrors, just to let you know, £410 for the foldy uni ones that heat up in the winter. That could start getting a little bit expensive if they got hit, couldn't it? So you've got to be careful with these. There is a premium black pack as well, which is £2,900, but it includes air suspension and a rear tailgate spoiler. With Jaguar, you get choices in roofs, no less. Yes, you can have this in black if you want for an extra £560. And if you don't want a roof at all and fancy a glass sunroof called the panoramic roof, that's an extra £995. And down the side there, privacy glass all the way around the back, like this car has got, will cost you an extra £395. And finally, if you fancy splashing out £2,500, you can get yourself some 12-way electronically adjustable heated front seats like these. So let's take a look round at the back of the iPace, because personally I think this is better looking from behind than it is from the front. It's a bit of a 1664, fellas, if you get my drift. Anyway, first up, what you're going to notice is you've got all these lovely black badges and black bits. That comes as that black pack, which I mentioned earlier, in the extras, of course. You've got these smooth, very slinky LEDs that run all the way around the side here. I mean, it's just beautifully designed. Got this little bit of spoiler on here. Now, that might seem insignificant, but that can play a major part, not only in keeping the back end of this car down at high speed, but also deflecting the air off it, making it more economical. And speaking of economics, because this is an electric car, it needs to get the most, it needs to break through the air as cleanly as possible. You get this beautiful spoiler. If you look underneath here, you can actually see how it's all shaped as well. It's not just some bit of plastic that's been bolted on just to make it look good. It's really got a part, you know, to play in the ergonomics of this car as much as the economics of this car. I managed to get all that out in one go. I was surprised myself there. I love this rear screen. Check out the rear screen. Although it isn't an infinity screen because it has got a very thin rubber all the way around, but it is beautifully shaped. I mean, it's just not a screen, it sort of goes around. There's a lot of work gone into that as well. Down at the bottom here, big diffuser. Once again, that's sucking that car down when you get up to high speed, and also keeping that drag coefficient going to the best that it can, giving you the most miles you can out of that battery. Inside, well, this particular car doesn't have an assisted tail lift, but look how easy I lifted that massive great rear boot. Incredible, those gas struts doing their work. 656 litres of boot space. Huge, absolutely huge. And when you put the seats down, which are 60-40 split, by the way, when they go down, 1,450 litres of boot space. You're going to get anything you want in there. It's absolutely massive. Lovely little, you know, bits, attention to detail. You've got the shopping bag holders up here, which just pop out. Obviously, you're going to be doing a lot of shopping and going places in this car. It's not going to be, you know, and it is that type of car. It's a local car, that's what I call it, because it's electric. It's going to be popping out all the time doing bits and pieces. Over here, you've got a 12-volt adapter. Underneath here, well, there's your charging cables. Two cables that come with the car. One is the one that puts in out on the public chargers when you need to use it, and the other one is if you're, say, out for the evening with some friends and you're around their house having a cheese and wine party or one of those type of things, you can plug it into their charging point. Not their charging point, you can plug it into their electricity point, any one of their points around the house, it doesn't matter. So wherever you're parked, you can plug it in and get some extra charge. I will say one thing though, it's only 2 kilowatts that, so don't think you're going to charge your whole car up while you're there. It'll take 3 days. Well, I don't know, I've been to cheese and wine parties that have lasted 3 days. We won't talk about those today though, will we? Underneath here as well, hopefully there is a spare wheel at the back here. Sadly, there isn't. That means, well, if you want a spare wheel for these, they're £287 extra. Well worth getting. It's one of those space saver things. You can get it in, put it in here. Much better than the stupid latex and the pump that's in there. Why do we still get there? They're completely useless. You've got a bottle of latex and a pump. I mean, the only reason I'd keep that is if I was going to some, you know, strange party somewhere. That's probably about the only reason I keep it in the car. I wouldn't be using it on a tyre, let's put it that way. Or the other option is go for run flats. That's probably the option I'd go for if you don't want to get out and, you know, have to change the wheel and stuff. Anyway, that's your under there. You've got this parcel shelf. Now, let's face it, it's a Jaguar. This isn't coming out. It's hardly ever going to get used for anything that's bigger than perhaps, you know, a couple of bags of shopping or your golf clubs. So I'm not going to blame it if it doesn't go under there. And we have tested it and it doesn't go under there. I know we normally throw them away when they don't go under. I'm just going to leave it there, to be honest with you. It's nice, but what's the point? I'd rather lose that and, you know, give me the spare wheel in the back instead, the space saver. So there you have it. It's a decent size, it's practical, and it's sexy. So at the end of the day, it's all adding up. Right, before I jump in the back and show you what it's like for the passengers, check out the rake on this door, how far, the angle, how far it goes back. It's massive, so you can easily get in and out of here with a child seat, or if you've got someone who's, you know, a little bit old and needs help getting in and out, they're going to be able to just slide their legs around and simply step out of this car. Excellent design, excellent. It's quite low here, so stepping in, you just got to sort of duck your head down a little bit to get in, but the way the seats are positioned means you just drop into the car. And I've got to say, straight up, really comfortable seats in here, really nice. Now, you can see it's all leather in the back here. It is extra if you want all-round leather. So my way of thinking is, if you're going to have leather seats in the front, you can't not really have leather in the back. But it's going to cost you an extra £1,250 for the passenger's leather area, if you like, which unfortunately I think you're going to have to pay out for. Another thing which I'm really not impressed with are the pulley outie Isofix points covers. Although they make it look nice because they finish it flush, these really should be on springs. One, I think you could end up losing them. You're going to end up having to spend money out on a pack of these when you come to change the car, because even if you're selling it, you're not going to sell it without them, or if you're handing it back after a lease, basically it's going to cost you. And the other thing is that young toddlers could pick one of these up and put it in their mouth. I'm sure it's never happened. I hope it never does happen, but it's just one of those things that bothers me. It'd be much nicer on a little spring, or not at all. There you go, simple as. You do get recessed seat belts in here, which makes sliding across if you are a passenger in the middle for some unknown reason, or you're being given a lift back from the pub or the restaurant. Absolutely perfect. You will get 3 people across the middle here. There's hardly any transmission tunnel. Don't forget, it's battery cars, no transmission, so there's hardly anything there. So it's easy to jump in the middle like that. And I've got to say, you know, the view straight out the front is actually really good. And you're not that much higher either, because normally on these seats in the middle, you suddenly jump up and you haven't got enough room here and it's all uncomfortable. But yeah, I'd be quite happy here. You know, if my boss took me out or something with a couple of the girls from the PR department, it'd be quite nice. I'd be happy stuck in the back here for an hour or so, going back to the office. Most people would. Let's have a little look round what else we've got in the back here. Well, we've got Granny's fishnet stockings for some £100. I mean, all this modern design. This car has only recently been designed. You know, it's. You would think we'd get rid of this stuff by now and come up with something a little bit nicer, a little bit different. I know people want to put stuff in here, but do you know what? Originally, this was designed to put your maps in or books that passengers would read, because they didn't have mobile phones or computers. And speaking of mobile phones and computers, in the back here, you need somewhere to charge them. And thankfully, Jaguar have thought of that. So you've got 2 USBs down here, 2 USB points, and a 12-volt adapter as well. Brilliant, we need that. But now look at this. Look, this panel here is for your 4-way climate control. There's no air vents, there's nothing here. 4-way climate control in this car, wait for it, extra £650. Do you really want to spend £650 on your passengers? No, of course you don't. Hence why this one is blank. But what a shame. They could have at least put a couple of vents there to allow you to have some air through it. They put vents in the doors there. Why didn't they just put them there? So there's little bits that are starting to show cracks in the design element of this car, which is a shame in a way, because I was really starting to, you know, think this car could be the car, the one. In the centre here, you do get your armrest with your double cup holder. That's fair. No ski hatch. Again, I'm quite shocked at that. I would have thought we'd have had, sorry guys, we're here in the UK, sorry, totally forgot. B&Q, you know, supermarket, not supermarket, DIY store hatch. Got it? Yeah, the bit where you put the wood through. That's it. Now you know what I'm talking about. Sorry, rest of the world. Ski hatch to you. There is no ski hatch, unfortunately, so you're not going to be going anywhere, even though this car is all-wheel drive, and it would make its way up the mountain to the chalet. Of course it would. You're not going to be able to put your skis in here either. But I can say your feet go under nicely, plenty of leg room, loads of height. I'd be happy in here for a few hours, absolutely. Let's go and check it out up front, what it's like for the driver. Okay, so here we are, up front, in the driving seat, and first up, well, it's a Jaguar. It's lovely and comfortable. Just look at the bolstering on this seat and the actual position of the seat as well. Driving this car, you do feel a lot higher than what you really are. Let's have a look how much leeway we've got with the steering wheel here as well. It's quite a tough catch, But look at that, wow. It's like flying a fighter plane, isn't it? Look at that. Sorry, getting carried away there again. Little boy stuff. Speaking of steering wheels, cracking steering wheel. Look at that with the aluminium all cut out down the bottom here, and it's sort of recessed. It's like, oh, it's really lovely. You've got this sort of embossed Jaguar there as well. Beautiful. On the right hand side, you've got your driving aids, you've got your speed limiter, you've got your cruise control, your lane keepy, departure warning, all that sort of stuff. And easy, look, set. You know, cruise it back. Oh, it's just to cancel. It's so easy. They're all haptics and they light up as night as well. Oh, it's just really nice. All this piano black, by the way, just thought I'd quickly mention, it's all included as part of the price. You can get like a charcoal ash wood style as well, which is like a dark wood. And they also do carbon, which must look gorgeous. I think I'd go for the carbon. They're all priced differently, but you do get the piano black as included. So getting back to here, you've got heated steering wheel on here as well. It's essential in the winter months, darling. You've got to keep your nice handies warm. When you take your gloves off, you've got in the car, you know. So you've got your heated steering wheel button there. Just push that. To the left here, you've got your Ask Jaguar button. You know, that's the button that you push and you go, Jaguar, take me to the nearest burger bar, I'm starving. And it suddenly comes up on here, you know, on one of your lovely screens and says, follow me and we go and get a burger or something. So, yeah, I mean, I'm exaggerating, but it is a very good little gadget to have and it does listen to you. Your telephone, speaking of listening, answer telephone button is on there as well. And your volume button and your scroll buttons are here as well, which is really nice. So it can change all on this digital cockpit. Is so lovely as well. It's a full digital cockpit. You've got it all there. It will tell you your different, your range on there. I know we're talking range anxiety and stuff later on, but it is on there and it's right in your face all the time, so you can see it. You can also see to the right here when you're, when you're sort of gaining that energy back from coasting and braking, that comes back in as a charge, or if you're absolutely flooring it and enjoying the life out of this car, then it will come up on the power and you'll watch that suck the battery down as well. Standard in this car with your wiper stick and your lighting stick, both of them can be set to auto as well. Really nice and easy. Down the bottom here, just say down the bottom, down over here on the right hand side, you've got your bonnet release and you've got your boot release as well. Now I love these buttons because the boot release is brilliant. On this car, the bonnet, there isn't an engine under there. It's basically just a little mouse's pocket where you can keep a handbag, but nevertheless, it's there and there's a button for it down there. What you can do, obviously, with the boot release, if you're watching, like, say you're watching me, for example, on YouTube, on your phone, enjoy it, it's pouring with rain, or it's snowing, or it's cold or something, you're shopping, or the other half has gone shopping, he or she has come out with the bags full of shopping, you don't even need to get out the car. All you've got to do is push that button, that boot will open automatically if you've got the auto tailgate lift. You need the assisted tailgate for that. And you can carry on watching YouTube or whatever you're watching. If you're watching the football or whatever, carry on watching it. Let them do all that themselves. I think that's a genius button. Whoever invented that definitely knew what they were doing. Also down there, you've got the electronic handbrake button as well. And below that is a luminosity button. Now, a luminosity button pops out. You just push it like that, pops out, and then you can adjust it nice and easily, like manually, and it will change the luminosity in here, which I absolutely love. Okay, two more screens here. This lower one does all your heating controls, your heated seating, everything like that. All your aircon, everything is controlled here. Dead simple. You just have to get used to using these. Look at these knobs, guys. Look at the size of these knobs. They're absolutely, you know I love a knob. Now, the reason I love a knob is getting here in the winter, got your gloves on, you're flapping around you've got to take your gloves off to get this to work because it won't work with your gloves on, or you've got wet hands, it's pouring with rain, you jumped in the car, you want to put the heating on, turn the sounds down. It's not going to work. Whereas here, you can just do it with your gloves on or wet hands, turn your knobs up and down, push your knobs to get your heated seats to work. Oh, this is lovely, decent sized knobs. And there's your on and off button and your volume button for your sounds as well. Another knob. I've got 3 decent knobs in this car. The most essential knobs in the world. That's all I'm going to say. Right, let's move swiftly over. Cubby in the centre here. Huge, massive, look at that. I could get, 500 mobiles in there, 500 mobile phones easily. Well, maybe a slight over-exaggeration. USB-C, USB, and a 12-volt adapter in there as well. You'll be able to charge whatever you need to charge in there. Another thing, love this, watch this, little cover for your double cup holder. I hate these, they're the most unsightly things ever, but if you pop that in there like that, Nice one, Jaguar. That is just stunning. You just leave it on there and it covers it up. When you do want to use it, if you want to put your water in there, this has got rubberized suckers that can grab hold of whatever you put in there. So, you know when you put your water bottle in your double cup holder sometimes, you're driving along, you're having a good old listening to your tunes, and you think, oh, I'll have a swig of water, and you can't undo the top. Well, you have to take it out, put it between your legs, then you're squeezing like that, you're trying to undo it. You've done it. Don't tell me you haven't done that. With this one, you don't need to do it. You know why? Because it's got rubber bits in there. So as you stick it in there, it grabs it, it clasps it like that. It's gripping hold of it, and you can just undo your little, you know, your little, like the lid, the whatever you call it. You know what I mean? It's so easy. I love it. Things like that are genius. In here, if you put your hand through there, look at that, look, all the way through. Isn't that lovely? Look at the design of this. There is a wireless Apple charger down there. To you, £350, special price. And I'm not joking. That's what it costs if you want a wireless Apple charger. Extra 350 quid. However, design-wise, stunning, beautiful. Left-hand side here are your modes and your traction control. I'm going to talk about that when we get this car on the road, which is going to be very shortly, trust me. To the right-hand side here are your driving buttons. Drive, neutral, reverse, and park. Simple. There's no need for a gear shift or no need for paddles. We don't have any of that. We don't need it. Talked about the heating control panel. Main screen up here. Everything you're ever going to want, to be honest with you. Absolutely everything. You've got your digital media section all built in here. You've got wireless Apple Play. You've got Android mirroring. Your sat nav and everything on here. Personally, if I'm in Apple Play, I'm going to use my Waze, you know, or my normal maps. I wouldn't even bother probably using this, but it's there nonetheless, and a great, lovely DAB radio, all helped out with this beautiful Meridian sound system, which sounds unbelievable when you've got this car out on the road, because there's no engine noise at the end of the day, so it can't spoil it for you. Glove box wise, well, in here, tiny glove box. Oh, should point out, if you want to keep your whispers in there, you know what I mean, your chocolate bars, you can get it air conditioned, air cooled. You can have a cooled glove box. Extra 100 quid to you, special deal. Mention that when you go down to your Jaguar showroom. I'd like a cooled glove box, because AJ told me I can keep my whisper in there. I don't want to be careless with my whisper like George Michael. Right, let's have a look. Owner's manual, see? That's what I'm talking about. That's an owner's manual, like about 30 pages. That's all you need. It just tells me where the fuses are, whatever I need. And it doesn't take up any space in there. The only thing is, they're just a pain to put back in. But look at that. That's an owner's manual. Those stupid, great big books, the Bible of the car. You don't need it. So, generally all round, beautiful looking. It is a stunning car. But there's no point in me sitting here carrying on how good looking it is. Let's get it out on the road. Let's go and have some fun with the Jaguar I-Pace and see what we think of this car. So here we are, guys. We're out on the road in the Jaguar I-Pace. Listen. Silence. It's absolutely stunningly silent. I've driven a few electric cars, and you normally get quite a bit of, you know, road feedback from the rims and the wind that's coming towards you, the air and stuff. But this car, absolutely quiet as a mouse. It is beautiful, actually. I'm really enjoying it. Another thing I love is this huge windscreen on this car. It's absolutely massive. Your peripheral vision all the way around here is superb. These big windows, you've got a little window here just behind the mirror, and that gives you a great angle straight through, and it's just generally a lovely place to sit. Huge mirrors on here, tons of safety systems. We'll talk about that in a minute. But first up, let's talk about the one thing that everybody asks as soon as you get into an electric car. What's the range? Well, I can tell you now, it's not what Jaguar says. And I believe, you know, it's not what any manufacturer says, because when they do their tests, they do them in absolute ideal conditions. So for example, this car apparently has a range of 290 odd miles. That's huge. And never in a million years, you would have to have the most perfect day ever and the perfect driving conditions ever in order to achieve that. However, the way we measure it here at The Player is all about what we get from it, what we're getting from it. It's exactly that. Now, we're getting between 200 and 210. That's the maximum you're going to get out of this car, in our opinion. Now, that can be a number of different things, because if the battery's been used, you know, not as good as it should have been, charged properly or anything like that, because you've got to remember these are press cars, so it's been used and abused, you can imagine. So you probably get a little bit more than that if you owned your own car from brand new, because you're going to look after it, you're going to charge it according to the manufacturer's handbook and all that stuff. Whereas this car's slightly used and abused, and it's been, you know, it's been thrashed basically. But at the end of the day, I'm still getting nearly 210 miles. It equates to around about an hour on a public charger, a 50 kilowatt public charger. Because don't forget, there's different public chargers now as well. But a 50 kilowatt, which is the most common one, will take an hour to give you 168 miles of range, which isn't bad. And on a home charger, a 7 kilowatt home charger, that's your pretty, but across the board, standard home charger at home, 7 kilowatt, around 13 hours. So basically, you come home from work, you stick it on charge, by the morning, you should be pretty much back up to fill up again, because you're never going to run it right down to, as low as possible. And you should only really charge these to about 80%. That's what they say is the optimum way of charging. If you're using the little plug-in thing, forget it, 2 to 3 days. It's 2 kilowatts. It's there as a trickle charge. It's more of an emergency charge, so to speak. I don't think you can actually rely on that, although you do get that, obviously, as I showed you when we were in the back. There are a couple of modes with this car which make it a bit of fun to drive. It's not just, going back to the shops and stuff. Because don't forget, at the end of the day, this car is all-wheel drive as well, because that's what Jaguar do best. They do four-wheel drive and they do super sports cars. And again, not only is it all-wheel drive, this is a super sports car as well. This is a 294 kilowatt battery car, which means the equation, if it's done correctly, will give you 400 brake horsepower, which in turn, in sport mode, or dynamic as Jaguar call it, will give you a 0 to 60 of 4.8 seconds and a top speed of 125 miles an hour. And trust me, it gets there very quickly indeed. And that's all controlled by the modes. The mode button's over here. And you go up and down using your modes. You've got 4 modes. So we've got the top mode here. I'll put it on now. You've got rain, ice and snow. So that's all-wheel drive. And it will basically really look after you when you're out on the road if it's very slippery. Secondly, if you scroll down one, you've got eco mode, which is the mode that I tend to leave this car in most of the time. And then scroll down again, you've got comfort mode. That's when all the suspension softens up, the steering softens up, and it just becomes a really nice, comfortable drive. But if you want the maximum economy, put it into the eco mode. And then that's when the fun starts. You go down into dynamic mode, you get a slight change on the instrument cluster here. It goes reddy colour, and you can actually feel that there is more acceleration there like that. I mean, literally, as you put your foot down like that, you can see. And it's got a bit of a soundtrack in the background. It's almost got a little bit of a Jaguar soundtrack. I can hear it. But that's piped in, obviously, because there is no sound. But it does sound great fun. Traction control's just below that. You can turn that on and off. And then there's another button at the top here, which is basically, it's like a cruise control-y, styly button at the very top for off-road. So it actually senses what the surface is that you're on. So you push that when you're on a slippery surface, and it'll do all that for you and work out what wheel needs more grip and things like that. It is absolutely amazing, this car. So all round, you might be driving an electric car, but you've still got the four-wheel drive, you've got a sporty car, and you've got a very comfortable car. And as I say, in the real world, around about 210 that you're going to get out of a full tank of juice. The iPace gets a number of safety systems, as you would expect for a premium quality car of its kind. They're all controlled, or primarily all controlled, on the right-hand side of your steering wheel here. You've got adaptive cruise control and a speed limiter. Very easy to set, by the way, on this car. You don't need a degree in computer science. It's just a little button here, up and down, for set and cancel and bits like that, and obviously to increase the speed once you get into the cruise mode. You've got lane departure, you've got lane keep as well. That's down there on the bottom right-hand side. Again, with these haptics, it's really nice. You just touch them and they light up, so you know it's activated. Up here on the screen, you've got the sign recognition system. You've got auto high beam on this car as well, which is great, especially if you're out on these country lanes at night and there's a car coming the other way, or you just need that, you know, so you can keep both hands on the wheel without keeping having to move that stick forward for your high beam. I really like that. It's got autonomous braking in town, front and rear. Again, absolutely superb, using the cameras when you're reversing out of a car parking space. You can't see down a line of cars and there's a car coming. This car will take over and obviously look after you and you know, try and avoid any accidents. And speaking of accidents, it's got an impending collision system built into this car as well, so it will sense if it feels there's something going to happen along the road somewhere, even at night as well. Simply incredible, and I think with an NCAP 5 rating, you haven't got a lot to worry about when you're driving the iPace. It really is as safe as houses. So the iPace gets a half decent warranty. It's 5 years or 60,000 miles, whichever comes first. That's pretty standard, I reckon, nowadays. There are other companies, obviously, they're offering 7 years and unlimited mileages, but 5 years, 60,000, I think is going to be pretty good for this car. One thing that is good for this car is the battery warranty. You get an 8-year or 100,000 mile battery warranty. Now the battery warranty is really good if when you come to sell the car on, you can also transfer that over to the new owner. And I think that's invaluable, not just with a Jaguar electric car, but any electric car that you're buying. And most of them, again, across the board are around 8 years or 100,000 miles, similar to this. Another thing Jaguar tell me is if the battery health drops below 70% within that period, they will change the entire battery. So when I mean battery health, you know when you've bought a new phone and after a certain period of time it doesn't charge as much or you have to charge it more, that's your battery health, and that's basically the cells inside your lithium battery which are starting to die, unfortunately, and that's just across the board with all lithium batteries. And this basically, yeah, any electric car is just a giant mobile phone at the end of the day with wheels on it. So that's the way you've got to look at it. But you're covered on the battery warranty there. You get a 6-year paintwork anti-corrosion, 6-year unlimited mileage anti-corrosion warranty, which I think could be a little bit better given the structure of this car and the actual quality of the paintwork. I'd have liked to have seen it around 10 or even 12 years because I think, you know, at the end of the day, you're paying a premium price for a car like this, and something like that really should be a lot better than 6 years. It is unlimited mileage though, so it's not as bad as it seems. You also get a 5-year or 60,000 mile telematics warranty. Now the telematics warranty basically look after you when it comes to all the software updates, any of the computer systems, any basically of the telematics on this car. So again, that's all covered as well. And finally, you do get 5 years worth of roadside assistance, 5 years or 60,000 mile roadside assistance, Jaguar roadside assistance. So again, that's all good when you're buying a brand new car, and if it's worth 5 years, you can pass all that over to the new owner, which, you know, at the end of the day, it's going to help you sell the car on and give it a really good residual value. As far as servicing and service plans, I suggest that when you go down for your test drive, have a little chat with your Jaguar salesperson. They'll explain all the ins and outs of the different service plans. And, you know, at that point, you can then make a decision exactly which way you want to go personally. All in all, though, I think you're pretty much covered with the warranty on this car. And Jaguar, at the end of the day, it's a premium quality product. I don't think you'd be highly unusual you're going to be putting any claims in on any of those warranties. So there you have it, guys. That was the Jaguar I-Pace. But at the end of the day, the question is it a Jaguar? Well, it hasn't got that V6 or that roar of the V8 sound, and it is all electric, but it does make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. So in my opinion, it's definitely a Jaguar. Whether it's a coupe or an SUV, the jury's still out on that one. So if you've got any ideas of what you think it is, leave them in the comment box down below. Either way, I reckon this car is definitely worth the time for you to pop down to a Jaguar showroom and give one a test drive, because it's quite an experience driving an all-electric Jaguar. Trust me, I've done so for the last week and I've really enjoyed it. You've been watching me, AJ, on the Player YouTube channel. I hope you've enjoyed this video as much as we've enjoyed filming it, because it has been a blast with this car. Real good fun. Don't forget, like, subscribe and comment, and any comments or any names of this car that you feel are appropriate, please stick them in the comment box down below. Don't forget, if you wouldn't mind, give us a thumbs up, because we don't get a bonus, we don't get extra pay, but we do get a pat on the back from the boss and the sponsors, because if you give us a thumbs up, it means you like what we've just done, and therefore we must be doing a good job. So I'd really appreciate that. Thanks, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, because there are plenty more videos coming. We do a lot of videos, and they're not just cars. We do boats, we do interviews, we do everything, motorcycles, and the reason for that is we are part of the Player. Now, the Player is a much bigger organisation. We're not just a YouTube channel, don't be silly. We're part of a much huge organisation. But one of the things that I'd like to offer you guys completely free of charge is a copy of the Player Bookazine. Now, the Player Bookazine is a 220-page magazine for guys. No, careful, don't you dare go down there. It's a guy's lifestyle magazine, so it covers everything from cars like this, motorcycles, boats, jet skis, holidays, golf, food, interviews, you name it, it's in there. It's 220 pages, it's yours for free. Yes, completely free. That's the online version, not the big book, because that costs £100. You can buy one if you want. Every 3 months, you got it for free. Just go to www.theplayer.co.uk. It's coming up now. Here it comes. I'm going to bring it in now. I'll leave it there for a few seconds. Go to the top of the website page. You'll see register. Put your name in and your email. Don't do any data capture. I'm not interested how many dogs you've got, what your waistline is, what kids eat for their tea. All I need to know is your name and your email, so you can either download it or you can view it online. And viewing it online, it's exactly the same as the one, the big printed book. It's no difference. It just means you can view it online and flick the pages using your mouse or your finger. It's simple. Don't forget, head over there, just put in your name and your email. That's all you've got to do. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you next week with something different. I'm out of here. It's raining. See you later.